and we are talking voting when it has a concern with the American Aborigines or so-called Black folk. Okay, so again, um, from what you see on the screen, you can see where I stand and where I've been standing for a while now. But at the end of the day, we have so many people that are ignorantly out there saying things like, "Oh, our ancestors." It's just like it's one of my pet peeves. Even the fucking stickers that say I voted. And when people say things like, "Oh, this is ignorant because our ancestors died for you to vote," and things like this. Well, do you know that your ancestors died to vote? Or are you just saying that and parroting what has been told to you when giving when we know that these people have given a false perception of everything, okay, which has given you a false understanding of everything, which has then had you think you know something because you've been through their education system, which just means that they have basically removed something, think of the mind, and they've placed or inserted or filled it with garbage. Okay. Most of this garbage, by the time you're 30 and out of school, you remember nothing but the basics that you can learn that you've learned when you were in elementary school. All the other shit, unless you went into some type of special job like an accountant or something of this nature, you don't need them. And most of us don't. So, again, not to, you know what I'm saying? Because again, a lot of us don't participate spiritually, mentally, physically in a lot of these things that have been set up because, again, it's not organic to us. It's not organic to us to fill your mind with garbage for all these years, 12 plus, okay? To think that you know something when everything has been taught in reverse. And this is why we like to use things like etymology, because you cannot tell me that I am lying to you. You have to go back and look at your education or indoctrination stations, such as church and school, when we're speaking of what we're speaking of on this channel. So, unless you've taken a deep look, not the stuff that they put mainstream when it comes to uh, voters' rights, unless you've taken a deeper look, then I would think it would be a waste of time to try to challenge anything because etymology has been around for a very long time. It is the history of the word and it tells you specifically what it was used for, when, and how. Okay. So again, we're going to go ahead and look at that term today because again, I think that maybe it's okay. Someone was saying something about our ancestors died for voting. And then uh, I think someone else said, have you even done the etymology on vote? So I thought to myself, had I done it? So I said, have I done it? And then I said, no, I haven't. And I looked it up really quick and I said, well, let's just go ahead and record. So it's a quick word. You're done in 5. So what we're going to do here is go over the term to add it to the other videos that we're doing on voting. And if we have been deceived into doing something, again, it's kind of like how it's forbidden fruit, right? Or something that they um, pretty much entice you with, right? And tell you you can't do it. So again, what do children do? Because that's what you are to them, no matter what, how old you are. So what do children do when you say no? They want to do it even more, right? And when they see that you're trying to block the things you're doing to block their authority, what do? Go around them, find a way around them to do what they want to do any damn way, right? Okay. So someone saying something like, and making a big fuss about voting, and then they use these terms that we don't do etymology on when we read these documents, and then you end up going with a false notion or perception, right? They give you images and things like this and gives you a false perception. They talk in parables and things, right? Like somebody that you know and love from the biblical text. That's talking so that something can be understood by one group, but not the other. Joke's on you most of the time, because it's your land that is the Americas and her islands that was stolen from your ancestors. And again, what about them dying for that? How many people died to try to keep their standing in this country and try to keep so that you would know who you are while you are sitting here voting for the very people that took it from them? That's insanity. And you're begging the same people that say that they gave you rights to vote. Again, see, and when you see that they said that they had made such a big fuss about it, you always have to wonder what was really going on. That just entices us to want to be included in their system even more. And you lose everything that you were and who what your ancestors stood for. Okay. And then you're following a false notion. If we today, with all the education that you have, didn't know what vote really means, then that's a problem. Then that means that your ancestors maybe didn't know as well, especially when they supposedly couldn't read. Now, they said they didn't want them to read, but it was illegal for them to read. Well, if they couldn't read, why would it be illegal for them to read? But again, they said that they didn't want them to read and they made laws against it, but they didn't say that they couldn't read if you really pay attention. So let's go ahead and look at this term. I just want to make this straight to the point. Okay. So let's see where we have this selected. Okay. So again, to vote. This is not me. I am reading a definition to you and I'm simply putting my cents or my 2 cents or my couple of cents in. 1550s, give a vote to. 1560s, enact or establish by vote. See vote. To vow. So a vote is a what? It's a vow. You should be wondering, or you shouldn't be wondering really anymore, what I'm talking about when I'm telling you that God is the government. The way they taught you and indoctrinated you in school and church has you worshiping the government or the governing forces, right? Okay. This is just what it is. They know that. They know that you don't know that. They know that you know exactly what they taught you to know about it. So, even we're talking about establish. Do we have an establishment somewhere? Is that what you call what's going on over there in the DC area? And we even have in here. In, to come in. So in at. Okay? All right. So you're taking a vow. Um, I'm not sure. I'm thinking that you should take a vow in the religious aspect to a god, or you take a vow to your supposed wife um, or husband. But that is what the government kind of is your some of the people that they brought in here at the earliest times, the 1600s, were husbandmen, and they were coming to look for wives, and the wives again are just speaking of the groups of people that they initially ended up either enslaving or taking in as prisoners of war, or brought in as Slavic, so-called white or foreign slaves, commoners, servants, and peasants, right? So let's keep going. Mid 15th century, formal expression of one's wish or choice. Your wish is a wish. It's almost kind of like praying. Praying is like a we'll look that one up later. It's like begging or asking, kind of like what you do when you're marching for something that you're never going to get from a system that again, there is a form of a so-called God or source or something, but it's more of on a spiritual, not, this is the thing that you're worshiping now is worldly. What you were doing was more organic and it was more pure and it was more, what can I say? Something about taking care of yourself and then taking care of others as well. More of a tribal thing that we were doing. Okay. Um, Not really worshiping, really. Okay. But seeking guidance from. Okay. Um, Again, we can keep on going here. Okay. So, a wish or a choice. And again, you didn't really choose because they have selected a certain portion, which we know we could probably do better, right? Of people that you have a choice. Again, you have a choice when you go to the grocery store, but manufacturers and other people come together and figure out what they're going to put on the aisle in the store. So it's really not your choice. You're choosing from some of the selections that you have available. You're really not choosing. When it comes to choice schools, you're really not choosing. There's a selected group of schools that you can pick from, right? Indoctrination stations that you can pick from, but you might be having a choice of those, but you're not really having that much of a choice because there's nothing there that has been brought up from you or started or organized by you to better you. It's all their system. And this is why it's funny when we talk about you can only love one God, you're going to hate the other or whatnot. Okay. So again, you're loving them and their system and their establishment, their firmament, their foundation, and then their curriculum and all their stuff that goes along with this. But you don't even love yourself that much as a whole because, again, look at your current situation and look how everybody else is complacent with this, whether they know it or not. See, because it doesn't affect them the same way. And this is why I don't call it so called white supremacy. I call it foreign privilege because these are all foreigners and their children that have come here and bombarded and grown like the sand of the sea on your land while keeping you at a lower level and keeping you stagnant so that they can climb on top of you. Okay. Even now, when you look at other people come from different nations, and it's not about color because they have so called Africans coming from Africa today. And what do? Give them grants and all these other things, and they give them homes and cars and things like this when they come over here as refugees or when they just come over here on different types of systems that they have set up. And then they become doctors and lawyers and they become in other and to do these other things that again if they wanted to go get someone from uh, a place where they're struggling or to make them better, why wouldn't they go to the hood and then give you these things so that you would be able to do so and make it easy for you to do so? Why bring other people from other nations? Because they're all foreign. They're all foreign. They're all here for reign. And we're gonna get into a whole bunch of other I got about 6 terms we're gonna go over to show you exactly what we're talking about just by using the words. Okay. Just like faith, it's a belief or faith and belief. It's something like a on a promise or something such as this. Okay. So anyhow, a vow, a wish, a promise to God. It's a promise to God. So God knows that these people are doing some of the disgusting things that they're doing, especially when it comes to children behind the scenes, right? See, you guys think that this stuff just started. This is born and bred in the fabric of this society, again, because you don't realize even what you're reading in the text. You don't even realize that rituals, so-called secret societies or Freemasonry is going on in the biblical text. You don't understand that uh, you're actually reading about child pedophilia. And we can just go ahead and say one thing with the whole thing about Mary being the age she was. And then look at some of the presidents and the age their wives were or their grandparents were when they were married off. Some of them even have the same exact names that are in the Bible. The same, matter of fact, what we're working on, again, when I always get time, I try to do this. We're working on matching up genealogy of the biblical characters along with the characters that have been playing parts in your Godfording force. It's kind of hard to match the so-called wife and the husband's name and the children's name and then their wives' names without you having to at least wonder what the hell is going on because the Bible is nothing but history. It's the history of the old world. The old world history is the Old Testament. Again, we don't have to agree on everything, but again, the words tell. I'm not saying this. The words are saying this, right? Okay? So, again, they just gave you the watered down version in order for you to think you know something and run around here and think that you know something when you don't. I hated school. I didn't go to college. I'm not the smartest person in the world. I'm just reading these terms. I just decided to take the time, which a lot of us don't have because we're working like a damn dog. Okay. and stressing on other stuff to break this down. Okay, because when I left that thinking, I wanted to have some foundation and other things to share with people that would make them second guess. I didn't want to be one of those people that said, "Oh, I don't believe that this and that and that," and then people come with these scriptures and these things and all this, and they overwhelmed you with all this stuff or whatever. No, I wanted to be able to put something right in front of their face and tell them, "Now you be the judge," right? Okay. So a solemn pledge, a dedication. Okay. Let's see, to promise or dedicate totally of voters. Oh, totality. Sorry, of voters of a certain class. Again, when we're talking about class, we're talking. Okay, let me slow down. We're talking about class. We're talking about classism, not racism. It's classism, right? See, because those children that were brought in and were also bred here in America through the American Aboriginal and the indigenous people and the native people. Okay, those particular people are the living creatures that were formed from the dirt or the earth, because we now know by looking in the Bible that earth can also mean inhabitants of a land or people or earliest people, like we are saying Aboriginal people are supposedly the earliest people. Of course, it has changed over time because we've had someone messing with the DNA, right? Okay. But they had to mess with your mind first in order to do that. Okay. So those are the living creatures, the ones that are going to have some type of privilege in the house or the abode of God, which is that pyramid that we see in the caste system. It even goes back to ancient Egypt. When you see those people on the walls and you see the people at the bottom, like in the tombs of the kings and things, you see all those dark brown people at the bottom underneath everything while everybody else is going on doing everything else at the top. Those are your ancestors that have been put in the Sheol or in hell where you reside still, because those were your ancestors to this day. And they make you think that you're a people by giving you misnomers and things like African American and black and things, but you don't know that that just means that you're dead by law. And they don't have to respect anything that has to do with you, really. They just have to give you perceptions, right? And then they trick you into, again, going about it their way, praising their God in their types of churches, their way, in their schools, talking about their people. Do you understand what I'm saying at this point? So, the source or the original source of you gave you things like common sense and uh, discernment. Okay. Again, and I'm not saying that we're not talking about this entity in the Bible. I'm just saying that you got to go through self first, and you got to know who the hell you is and where you came from before you can go do that fully. Okay, so when we're talking about classes or types, we're talking about the caste system. Point blank, period. And you are the dilete or undesirable people, usually dark skinned original people of lands, end up, or prisoners of war, end up down at the bottom in the latrine, they call it latrine cleaners or things like that. And that part of the pyramid is not even attached. There's enmity between her seed, which is the seed of the Americas, and his seed, which is the ones that they produced through you and brought over to you. That is the waters, and that represents the waters or the fish of the sea. The beast of the field and the fowl of the air also represent beings that were created or brought in to mingle or graft into your bloodline first and then the land. And after they got finished getting the fruit, they chopped down the cherry trees, like some of your presidents say. Okay. So again, is from 1888. And here, voter, agent, noun from vote. Okay. So let's keep on going down here. A ballot, to vote by secret method. Let's see if there's anything more here. Ball. Okay. For small balls used as counters in secret voting. To blow, kind of like to blow the breath in. I'm just thinking out loud. Swell, again, kind of like how he told them to do. Come in and, fill it. Fill it. See? Let's see. Very interesting. Let's keep going. Okay. So we read those two. Now let's go ahead and look at vow. Okay. So a vow, a solemn promise. but you don't get anything back. It's kind of like the God that they have you worshiping. You have to wait 1,000,000 years or 1,000, 100,000 or 400 or 600 years to get something from all the prayers that's going on right now and that went on when your ancestors was here and before that and generation. You see what I'm saying? Kind of don't make no sense, right? But the only thing you haven't been doing is listening to self. And with that voice in your head should be telling you there's something fucking wrong right now. And you must dig deeper. You don't even have to think what I think, because again, I am not here to tell you what it is or what it ain't. I'm just simply sharing what it looks like to me. Okay? So it says, votum, a promise to God. Hmm. Huh. A solemn pledge, dedication, that which is promised. What are you promising? Are you selling your soul? Didn't Biden just say that they're fighting for the soul of America? Hmm. So again, a wish, a desire, because it always comes up as to what the black vote will be all the time. They're always wondering. They don't, they just talk about everything else, and then at some point in time, they worry about the black vote. Why? Why? What if you didn't? Would it mean that they would have to stop and get the fuck up off our land? Does it mean that you don't approve and you don't promise anymore? You don't promise to keep this over you anymore? Because they're over you. Because heaven is just an elevated status or a higher, put up on high, or put, again, but there is a spiritual level of being put up on high. And that's what I think a lot of us are going through right now. And it's a mental thing, it's an awakening. It's a coronation that has to do with your crown or your corona. Again, be careful what you have these people tell you about this virus and why they want to target you, and why they want your children to be the first ones to go back to school in some of these states, and why they want you to be the first ones to get the vaccine now, since Black Lives Matter. But did you not see what happened to those so-called black people over there in Africa that just took some of these trials? And in India, they kicked out Bill Gates for what he did and paralyzed and killed all these children over here with a vaccine. They don't have a vaccine for anything else. They haven't come up with a cure for diabetes or anything. But they want you to think that this thing is so bad and it did all these things, and they have a damn see, because the thing is, they had a cure for it from the beginning, is what I think. Because they knew what it was that was going to spread, right? Or they knew what was going to happen. Okay, prophecy or plan, right? So they already knew what was going to happen. So this shit been already just waiting. It's just all this is an act. It's a it's a we're the world is a stage. Okay, you just can't see behind the curtain. But once you open up that eye, or your third eye, you can see to a certain extent. Not everything, but it's putting you in that right direction to say something ain't right. And I need to look into this. To promise solemnly, pledge, dedicate, vow, okay, preach. Again, preach. One who offers a sacrifice. What's the sacrifice? Who died on that cross? A wish. I pray. Oh, that's funny, because we were just talking about praying. Ain't that something? How's here? Meaning solemn engagement to devote oneself to a religious order of life. Is that what this is that we're living under here in the Americas? Oh my goodness. Because the words are telling you, the words have been there the whole time. You just have been brainwashed, masked manipulation, man manipulation, because man, when they're talking in the historical fashion or in the Bible, is talking about foreign entities on lands, dealing with the flora and the flora and fauna of that land. Breeding. Slavery was more about breeding, but they want to give you the perception it was about somebody working with cotton. Earlier, to bind oneself. What? You want to bind yourself to what? Again, when you figure out some of the tricks that they used in order to manipulate your ancestors into even voting or just making themselves citizens under, okay? Under. See, you're not over anymore. You're under. They grafted you back into their system, out of yours into theirs, into their way of thinking. Now you see, you take all their way of thinking, and again, you have to wonder as a whole why we look like we do and why they look like they do. You've taken their way. You are them. You are them. You are them. It's all about the mind. It's all about the mind. They had to get in there first before they can even give you a Bible, because then you're going with a false notion. And anytime someone brings something to you, it's the devil or something like this. Again, who's really the devil? Who went through all those stories and killed all them damn people? Was it the devil? And for those of you that think that a parable is not a lie or a trick, go ahead and look it up yourself, what a parable is, and wonder why Jesus was using those. And who did they want to know and who didn't? We're talking about the harvest and we're talking about the wheat. Go ahead and look up what wheat or white, or you'll see that it means white. So what is the tare that was burned? See, you guys have to really, expand your mind. Just, you don't have to think the way I'm thinking. I'm just saying, do the same thing. We should all be using this. If you want to know something, it's like truth. The truth is going to set you free. That's been said there too. You think that truth is going to come out about everything else that's going on in the world? Seeing how this is linked up to what we would think this religious order or this government, this government? Are you serious? And you don't think that some things are going to be revealed about the Bible or how you're reading it or interpreting it? Again, I don't know much, but I know what I'm seeing here. I know what I'm seeing here, and you do too. You do. Your soul, that voice inside is speaking to you already, or you wouldn't even be on this channel. So again, I want to thank you guys for stopping by. We're going to go ahead and expand on this more, but for now, I just want to do this etymology on vote. So thanks a lot for stopping by. Don't forget to comment, rate, or subscribe, and join us in the Facebook group American Aborigines Unchained for more information like this from me and others.